You won't believe how one man managed to stay calm when everything around him was falling apart. Adam was an ordinary man who, like many of us, found himself constantly affected by the world around him. Every little thing seemed to get under his skin. If he missed the bus in the morning, it felt like his whole day was ruined. A negative comment from a co-worker could stay in his head for days. Adam's emotions were often dictated by external events, things he couldn't control. It was exhausting, but he didn't know how to break the cycle. One day, after a long and stressful day at work, Adam sat down on his couch, scrolling through his phone in an attempt to distract himself. He stumbled across a quote that seemed to jump out at him. "Don't let what you can't control you." For a moment, Adam sat there, staring at those words. They felt like a personal message meant for him. Was it really possible to live without being affected by everything? Could he learn to let go of the things that constantly disrupted his peace? Adam decided that he had to try. He couldn't keep living the way he was, at the mercy of everything around him. He had to find a way to stop letting external things control his emotions. The next morning, he woke up with a new determination. Today was going to be different. He didn't know how long it would take to change, but he was committed to trying. On his way to work that morning, Adam's first test came quickly. As he was driving, a car suddenly swerved in front of him, cutting him off in traffic. Normally, this would have made his heart race with frustration. He would have clenched the steering wheel, muttering angrily under his breath, and the whole situation would have stayed with him, souring his mood. But today, Adam decided to handle it differently. He took a deep breath, repeating the quote in his head. "Don't let what you can't control you." The other driver's behavior was out of his control, so why let it ruin his day? Instead of reacting with anger, Adam chose to focus on the road ahead and let the moment pass. When he arrived at work, Adam encountered his second challenge of the day. His boss, Mr. Johnson, called him into a meeting to discuss the latest project he had been working on. Adam had spent weeks putting his heart into this project, and he was eager to hear his boss's feedback. However, the meeting didn't go as expected. Mr. Johnson picked apart every little detail, criticizing the project in front of Adam's colleagues. Normally, Adam would have been crushed by this. His mind would have replayed his boss's harsh words over and over, feeding his insecurities. But today, he approached the situation differently. Instead of letting the criticism eat away at him, he reminded himself that he could control how he reacted. The feedback was meant to help him improve, not to bring him down. He thanked his boss for the input, calmly returned to his desk, and got to work on making the necessary changes. Throughout the day, Adam noticed a shift in his approach. Every time something happened that would normally frustrate him, he reminded himself of the choice he had. He could either let it affect him or let it go. This practice didn't come easily at first. His mind would still jump to negative thoughts, and his emotions would still try to take control. But each time, Adam caught himself, took a deep breath, and chose a different reaction. As days passed, Adam found himself growing stronger in this practice. He began to see how much energy he had wasted on things that didn't matter. So many of the situations that used to upset him were out of his control. Why waste time worrying about the weather, the traffic, or what someone else said? Adam's mindset began to shift. He realized that most of the things that used to stress him out weren't as important as he had made them out to be. Instead of focusing on what he couldn't control, he started focusing on what he could control: his actions, his thoughts, and his attitude. One evening, Adam went to visit his old friend Greg. Greg had always been someone who seemed unshakable. No matter what life threw at him, he stayed calm and collected. Adam admired this about Greg and was curious to learn how he managed it. As they sat together over coffee, Adam asked, "How do you do it, Greg? How do you stay so calm when everything seems to go wrong?" Greg smiled, taking a sip of his coffee. "It's not about ignoring things or pretending like they don't matter," Greg said. "It's about choosing what deserves your energy. Most things that upset us don't actually deserve the amount of attention we give them. You have to decide what's worth your peace and what isn't." Adam nodded, thinking about Greg's words. He realized that he had been giving far too much power to things that didn't deserve it. A rude comment, a minor inconvenience, or even an unexpected change in plans, none of these things were worth losing his peace of mind. He decided that from now on, he would be more selective about what he allowed to affect him. The next week, Adam's resolve was tested again. At work, a major project he had been leading was suddenly cancelled due to budget cuts. It felt like a punch to the gut. All of his hard work over the past month had gone to waste, or so it seemed. Adam's initial reaction was one of frustration and disappointment. But then, he stopped himself. Was this situation worth losing his peace over? Did it deserve his energy? He couldn't control the budget cuts, but he could control how he responded. Instead of dwelling on the loss, he shifted his focus to the next project. The time and effort he had put into the cancelled project weren't wasted, they were part of his growth and experience. As Adam continued to apply this new way of thinking, his life began to change. He felt lighter, more in control of his emotions. He wasn't constantly reacting to every little thing that happened. Instead, he responded calmly and thoughtfully. His friends noticed the change in him too. One of them joked, "You're like a Zen master now. Nothing phases you anymore." Adam laughed at the comment, but knew that his transformation was real. He had learned to protect his peace. It wasn't about becoming numb or emotionless. He still cared deeply about the things that mattered, his work, his relationships, his personal growth. But he no longer allowed the small, uncontrollable events of life to dictate his mood or his happiness. Of course, there were still days when Adam struggled. Sometimes, a particularly stressful situation would tempt him to revert back to his old ways of reacting. But now, he had the awareness to pause, reflect, and choose his response. He understood that mastering his emotions wasn't about being perfect, it was about being mindful. And in that mindfulness, he found freedom. In time, Adam's relationships also improved. He wasn't as quick to snap or get defensive in disagreements. Instead of reacting emotionally, he took the time to listen and respond thoughtfully. His friends and family appreciated this new version of him, and Adam felt more connected to the people around him. Adam's journey taught him an important lesson. Peace isn't something that happens by chance. It's something you create within yourself. The world around you will always be chaotic, unpredictable, and full of challenges. But you have the power to choose how you respond to it. You have the power to decide what affects you and what doesn't. And for Adam, that realization made all the difference.